Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fight Net Radio. Lee Honish, Andrew Labouche, Miguel Antonio Barragon. This is bonus content. You can only see this at our social media or on our YouTube page at Fight Net Radio. I think I've chopped this correctly, that I'm not going to get a copyright infringement. I think I did this correctly, boys. So there's very few stories this week, but I thought we'd talk about Xing Zhang,
Mhm.
and Joyce. Up until this week, Andrew, how much shit talking was there about Joyce fighting Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, Deontay Wilder? Like Joyce, we all know the outcome of this fight, and we're gonna, and by the way, enjoy the fight. But I want to talk about the stories leading up to the fight. Um, how much smack talk was there about Joyce fighting everybody, including King Kong, this week?
Yeah, no, look, the Tyson Fury thing was real because they both are under the same promoter, right? Frank Warren, I think,
Right.
both of these guys. So that was it seemed like an easy fight to get made if the Usyk one wasn't done. Unfortunately, don't it could still happen. Look, listen, the fight yesterday, that's a bad defeat, but it was a technical knockout because of an eye injury. Yes, he's behind on cards, okay? But
Dude,
what's
that
the
wasn't just a technical injury. And if you haven't seen the fight, enjoy it. We're gonna talk about this fight while you guys watch the
he
fight.
never went down. He
Dude,
never
he
went
he jacked him up
he never
bad, bro.
went down. The doctor seemed like he let it go, and the referee, who they warned us stops fights early, looks at his eye and goes, "No, I'm calling it." The doctor never waved it off. It looked like he gave it. He left it into the hands of the ref. The ref looked and said he's done. Now listen, behind on scorecard, yes. Losing the fight, yes. We know how Zhang. How do you say his name?
Jing Jang,
Mhm.
ping
Something.
pong.
Yeah, we know that they
Wait,
kept
can I
talking.
do something really derogatory? Ping pong, ching chong. There you go.
Let's not be mean this morning. We're
It's
gonna start.
Zhang. It's all right. Let's just go with Zhang and Joyce.
Yeah. Um. They kept talking about how he fades late in fights. They never gave Joyce that opportunity to maybe weather the storm. And how do you when you know the guy doesn't completely fall apart late in fights? You just can't keep up. So it's a bad loss, but it's a technical loss because of an eye. He never went down, in my opinion.
Okay. By the way, I'm going to gratuitously insert this. Right, Miguel? Click the like, subscribe, and follow
Mhm.
us button so that you can get more boxing content like this. If this actually stays up on the web, I will be totally impressed. But I think I've actually clipped it correctly and got all the crap out of it, so we might get away with it this time, Miguel. Miguel, this week, certainly Joe Joyce was being talked about like he was Jesus Christ. He didn't look like Jesus Christ. He looked like a guy who ate way too many left hands.
Yeah. Well, during I think it was one of Fury's last fights, right? What's his name? Usyk came up ringside, right? And you can see that that Fury was trying to kind of egg him on, right, and try to get something out of him. And then in comes Joe Joyce, the third party, and he sure as hell participates in that, right? And he starts like mouthing off. So yeah, there was a lot of that. We expected that to be the thing. We thought, well, okay, if Usyk and Fury doesn't go down, at the very least, Fury can go, to Joyce and maybe like some sort of like all Englishmen kind of type fight going, right? Which is what essentially he was trying to do with AJ, but that went to shit. Well, now this went to shit. So there goes that. So man, those left hands, and he said it even during the post fight, and I want to say like some other interview when he was already back into his locker room. Joyce was saying he just couldn't get out of the way of that goddamn left hand, and for the life of him, and if he couldn't get out of the way with of the left hand with both eyes, let alone one. So as soon as one started to heal, and to echo what Andrew was saying, basically, I could have sworn I read the lips of the um of the doctor, right? He like holds one eye closed and says, "What am
Right.
I looking at? How many numbers, right, or
How
how
many
many
numbers?
fingers am
How
I
many
holding?"
fingers? Right. Right.
And I could have sworn that Joyce said one, and he was right. And so it's like, okay, well, he's
Yeah.
fine then, right? So then he goes over to the referee and he's like, okay, and then he tries to cover his mouth, right, kind of thing. And at that point, I can't tell, but you can tell that we can interpret what was going on. He's saying, all right, dude, he's fucked, but I mean, he can see. It's up to you. And then the referee looks at him. He's like, yeah, no. So he pulled the trigger on it. It was pretty much on the referee's, but on the referee's shoulders here. But man, he did not look good at all. His punches looked like he was pushing them. There was no snap in them. Considering Zhang, I can't pronounce his name for shit.
Zhang,
He's
pretty
280 some of them fucking pounds.
280
dude,
pounds, and he's not even fat, really. I mean, yeah, there's some goo, but that's a
it's
pretty
like
firm
it's
280.
like sumo wrestler kind of like rice goo, that fucking it's useful, in other words, it's functional. And Joyce is standing in front of him, like for the most part he's like, yeah, bobbing and weaving. And that's not to say that Joyce was ever the kind of boxer to be on his toes and moving back and doing this Muhammad Ali shit, but still, it's like, dude, this guy clearly is way fucking heavier. He's gonna land, and he's a southpaw. He's your height. It's gonna be a difficult fight. Don't stand in front of him. Try boxing. Try doing that stuff. And he just basically stood right in front of him and thought he can exchange punches with him, and what we saw what happened. So that certainly derails the Fury and Joyce possibility. I would not mind, and mind you, this was for the interim WBO title, which I think is the mandatory for Usyk. So I guess we might see Usyk and Zhang. I don't know, but that's that seems like the logical step here, since he's the interim champ. But man, he could not get out of the way of that left hand if his life depended on it.
There's a few things. There's a few things here. One, if you're Joe Joyce, you almost have to go back to this fight if there's any kind of rematch clause to get your career back on track. He needs to go back to this one. The other thing is, I believe we described him as a George Foreman type fighter coming out of his retirement. Now, that was never that great of you don't ever want to be described as George Foreman at 40 something, but he's 37. So he's not that far off of George Foreman's age of what George looked like when, my last thing is I want to bring out his nickname. His nickname tells exactly how that fight looked. He's the Juggernaut. And then whoever remembers the Juggernaut in the Marvel comic series, he used to walk through everything, right? Brick walls, freaking cars, everything. He's the Juggernaut. That's what he does. Except when in this sport, when you get to the higher class, the higher level opponents, and you're facing a man who's 7 foot, fucking 285 pounds of muscle, you probably don't want to be called the Juggernaut, and I'm just going to walk through everything that the guy lands. But the writing was kind of on the wall on Joyce a few fights ago when we were kind of describing him as the George Foreman type fighter. Tyson Fury would have embarrassed this kid. This guy, I mean, it's a mismatch if they ever think about. So if I'm Joe Joyce, I'm staying away from Fury right now, unless you're just going for the payday, because he is 37. He's not young. But if you're trying to get your career back on track, I think you have to go after the rematch.
Yeah, and I don't think he was going in there for anything other than the payday. I'm talking about Joyce. If he were to have fought Fury, because I mean, we still think Fury is the best, heavyweight. We still think that dude, he could beat AJ, he could beat Joyce. So it wasn't even that. I think it was just Fury's attempt to have an all English showdown in Wembley Stadium or something like that, right? And have some sort of big money payday before he rides off into the sunset. And he was banking on AJ before shit happened. We went to hell with AJ, and then he was sort of banking on Joyce until yesterday. So yeah, I don't really think it was really a matter of putting that fight together because they were actually some sort of legitimate threat to Fury, but rather just giving Joyce a big ass fucking payday, of course, giving himself a payday, and then riding off into retirement. So I mean, I don't think either of us, any of us, really legitimately thought that Joyce would have a chance per se. I mean, yeah, a chance, maybe a chance, a small chance, but no, we knew Fury was gonna fucking take it. As just looking for that major ass payday before the end of his career, I think.
Well, I think there was in the UK. I think there was interest in that fight. He was undefeated. I believe he's from the Olympics. Like but he's
got all kinds of technical problems, Andrew. I mean, and I think it was Tim Bradley who brought it up correctly. He does not move that head, and he keeps it on a straight line.
Tyson Fury's been dropped numerous times in his career. He's been hurt. He's not perfect. So You would have had your fans. Now you have no fans saying that he has a shot. Yes, he had no head movement, he had no defense, but look, this was there before. He used to walk through people's punches before, and it was fine. He was knocking out everyone. On this night, you're not walking through a man who weighs 285 pounds and has a knockout punch. You're not walking through that. You better get him out of there fast. Or we see what's going to happen. His heavy hands, his heavy set is going to pound your face in. First, your mouth is going to bleed. Then your nose is going to bleed. Then your eye's going to shut it. He kept damaging them. Can't do it. It's a stupid game plan. Oh, and I'm going to talk about the Juggernaut and the guy called Tank coming up here very shortly. Same nickname.
Yes, we will. We will. And by the way, that's a note. You should be listening to our big show or check out our other video with today's stories. This, if you're watching this video, this is the video you're getting. So enjoy it. Click like, subscribe. Up until this point, Zhang was sort of the prize child, right, of Miguel, of Bob, right? This was his Macau ticket until he ran into, what was it, Philippe Hargravich, who he lost by unanimous decision. He was undefeated at that point. He had a draw against Jerry Forrest. But this was Bob's Macau entry, right, to try to... And I'm guessing based on this whole thing, he's probably still under promotional. What does this do for Zhang in your mind?
Well, it puts him back on the map, because I mean, his lone defeat was just one fight ago, prior to Joyce. So it's like, and he's had a couple of, like you mentioned, a couple of blemishes with that majority draw. But it puts him back on the map, really. Like, people, for a quick second, people were starting to fucking forget about this dude. And mind you, like, when you see this guy, he's not an easily forgettable type of dude. He's a big motherfucker, right? And on top of the fact that he's he's China, right? Chinese. So like, we don't see big dudes like that, right? It's almost like that Andre the Giant, like, freak show type of things. Like, you see, what's his name? Remember Valuev, Nikolai Valuev, or whatever? That motherfucker was like huge, and it was like such a free show seeing that motherfucker fight. And he's kind of like that, And I think big people in general in like Asian countries are like attractions. So when you see like somebody from your own country, a big motherfucker, go out, cross the pond or wherever the hell. I mean, obviously they say that from the U.S. to the U.K., but I don't know how whatever they would say from Chinese to the U.K. But he went overseas and he beat a hero over there, a guy who's coming up, or a guy who's considered to be a next or a future opponent to Fury. But man, he derailed it. He was the monkey wrench, and the dude is proud as fuck. And he said, after the fight, he's like, "Thank you everybody for coming out. Thank you for all you Chinese men and people, his countrymen, right, to come out and support him there in the UK." That was a big deal. So man, Bob has got himself a little bit of a golden ticket for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And he managed to get his guy back in, and for the time being, at least, if there is some sort of, a rematch clause or something that was this, I don't think there was, because I don't remember them saying it or mentioning it, but let's just say there is. Hey, take it to Macau. Why not? You're going to have a freaking superstar when you get back there after the performance of yesterday. So, I mean, this is his golden ticket back into it. For a quick second, we might have thought that he lost it, but I think he got it back.
Andrew, what do you think happens to Zhang now that he's gone gang?
I totally agree with what Miguel said about him being a star over there in China, all of a sudden overnight. They love big fighters over there. They have one now. Seems legit. He's 6'6", he's 280. He looked like he's all muscle. Yeah, there was a little bit of around his belly, but for the most part, that he's a good athlete. Looks like a good athlete. I don't know where they go from here. Like I said, I think Joe Joyce wants he has to take the rematch. And if I'm Zhang, I'm probably all over that. That fight was pretty easy for him. The guy don't move his head. There was some parts where he throws like 3 left hands in a row. They all land. He's not learning shit off of these punches. ESPN loves to go, he's downloading right now. He's downloading, and then he's going to get better. That is not in Joe Joyce's game plan. Joe Joyce just eats. He eats and he eats and he eats. So
he doesn't move that head, Andrew. This is just painful boxing to watch.
Hey,
It really
his
is.
name
On
was-
some level, this mechanically watching Joe Joyce,
his
because
name was the.
it's just.
You can't
Go ahead.
leave. There was some trainer that watched him take beatings. It was like, man, this kid's the juggernaut. That's how he got that name. He took beatings.
I understand. Let's just go with some basics here. Keep your hands up, asshole. Keep your hands up. You won't even keep his hands up, right? They're at tit level for most of this fight, right? He's eating left hands. He doesn't move his head. I mean, after the first 3 rounds of taking a beating, I would think, hey, maybe if I keep my hands higher or in front of me, maybe I'll get
Never.
hit less.
Mhm.
He never had to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if,
and
if
you
he
gotta
was
get
able to
to it.
survive, oh, go ahead. What was it?
Good. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
If he was able to survive those early rounds, which ultimately he didn't, but if he was able to, like, let's say this was, I don't know what round this is, maybe the second or third round, but his eye is swelling pretty bad. At the very least, maybe at that point, concede that that you're not gonna try to outpower this dude and try to fucking like go toe to toe, back and forth, rock him, sock him. Just box the dude,
Right.
stay on the outside and let him get.
Right.
They say that he's going to tire out. Okay, because he's done it before, right? He's got a history of that. So try to take him into the deep waters. Know that this dude, he's taking all your shots. He's been able to eat all your shit, but let him gas out. Bounce around for a little bit. Yeah, you might have to give up some rounds, unfortunately, but there's a pretty good possibility that you might be able to, eke it out in the end, or maybe even stop him if you can put some
Take a step
some heat
back.
on
Stop
him.
stepping in, asshole.
Yeah,
Like, what's
and
his corner telling him?
Yeah, he can't do something he doesn't know, bro. And that's not
Come
his
on.
game plan. Lee, listen.
Come
We
on.
can't give him too much. We can't give him too much shit. One, he got the answer right. All right. I'm sorry. I got to agree with Miguel. You can totally see what happened in that corner. How many fingers? And I got to give it to the doctor. Stop holding up the same fucking finger. He never tried to trick one time.
he's like, now. How about now? How about now? One.
So still one.
Yeah, what is that? What's the one with Hillary Swank where he's tapping her on the back of the neck? Yeah, that's what's happening here. You're tapping on the back of the neck. Somebody's helping him. He's getting the answers to the quiz. You got a 1 in 3 shot of staying in the fight right now. Pick a number. Jesus.
This is heavyweight. This is the heavyweight division where one punch can change everything. To me, Joe Joyce was still in that fight. He was still able to see. He got the correct answer. He never said he wanted to quit. He said he wanted to continue. The ref then looked at him and goes, nah, it's over. It was the ref that stopped this fight. This is a heavyweight fight where both men have knockout punches. Injuries happen. Yes, bad things happen to these fighters. I would be a lot more upset this morning if Joe Joyce was upset. But because Joe Joyce did not,
he got his ass beat. He took it like a man.
So that's why I'm not mad today. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he lost this fight and he sucks it. No, he took all those punches and he was there. And I'm sorry, he got the right answer. He said one. They should have let that fight continue.
Yeah, I mean, let's take the eye out of the equation for just a second, right? Ultimately, we know that was.
He's still getting beat on points. He's getting beat on points.
Right, but he's still there. That's my point. Like, let's say the eye wasn't swollen, he's still losing the fight. I get that, right? But he's not hurt. He's not stunned. He's not stumbling all over the fucking ring, and he's not like, and really, it's only that left hand that he's landing. Really, it's because Zhang does. I mean, he throws that right hook, but it seems like from that angle, at least, if Joe Joyce knows anything, he can get out of the way at the very least of the right hook. So he wasn't been hit with that. He was getting hit with that straight left. But removing the eye out of the equation, he's still in the fight. Yeah, he is losing, but he's still in the fight. He's not like stumbling all over the fucking place, taking a fuck ton of trauma necessarily. It was just really the eye that was really.
I mean, seriously, Miguel, if he's just taking one step backwards and baiting him in to counter the punch. And let's talk about this for a minute before we bring on our special guest. We do have a special guest to talk about the fight. I know if you're regulars to the show, you know who the special guest is. There's a huge difference between heavyweight boxing, middleweight boxing, and lightweight boxing, right? Lightweights, you expect them to go in there and throw 300 punches. Middleweight, welterweight to middleweight, you're expecting somewhere between heavyweight and lightweight, right? Where it's a little bit tactical, but it has speed and they have power and finesse. When you get to heavyweights, I say this about jiu-jitsu and boxing to everybody who watched this and went, this fight's boring. This is an extremely active heavyweight fight. They're doing everything right. Technically, they're both throwing jabs. Technically, they're both throwing bombs. I guarantee they're both getting future concussions from this, Miguel. Like, they're throwing bombs on each other, right? Except for the fact that Zhang is probably a mutant from another planet. But from the standpoint of a good activity heavyweight fight, it's a good fight. I mean, it's a good watchable fight.
Yeah, there were very few lows in the action. There was very little clinching. The referee really didn't have to get between them too often. He stayed out of the fight for the most part, and this is credit to the fighters. The fighters didn't really need to bring the ref into the picture. Considering one is southpaw, one is orthodox, there was very little, if any, foot tripping or stepping on foot or headbutts or anything like that. So the punch stat, I'm sure, proves it as well. I haven't checked the punch stat, but yeah, it was an active fight. It was a pretty clean fight, and this is pretty much what you expect from two big ass heavyweights who will stand in front of each other and throw bombs and whatnot. So it was a pretty active one. It was a pretty clean fight, and this is pretty much what you expect from heavyweight boxing. And granted, it may not be U.S. heavyweight boxing, but it's right now we got guys like the real Baby Miller taking out dudes who
or even
aren't on his
Deontay
level.
Wilder. People who argue that Deontay Wilder fights are so exciting, Andrew. They're so exciting. No, they're not. You're going to watch 6 rounds of him standing there, and then he's going to throw one punch. I mean, I totally get it. You're waiting for the one punch, but come on.
This
is actually pretty good boxing for heavyweights.
Generation of fight fans that like to see fast knockouts. So Deontay kind of fits that. And that's probably always been with boxing, because Mike Tyson kind of had that same image, and no one seemed to mind those. But he got it over with
quickly. Here's what I respect about Mike. He just went in and handled his business. And would say after the fight, I don't get paid for extra rounds. Right. You don't.
After that, he had 3 fights with Tyson Fury, Lee. So that's kind of hard, too, to judge him off 3 fights with the best heavyweight in the world. But whatever the case, both of these guys added their names to the list of fucking opponents you could face and make a decent fight. Once again, Joe Joyce, I don't think damaged his marketing side of the boxing world. I think his fans will still come to his next fight. And if he wins, I think they're going to start, that whole role will start happening again, where he'll start generating some push to go for the title. So I don't think he's done. This was not a Miguel Cotto looking at his corner, shaking his head no type moment. It just wasn't. It was actually taken from him. To be honest with you, the championship rounds where you really dig in, that was taken from him. He was there. He was standing. He was ready. This is fucking boxing, man. Like, people get hurt in the sport. As long as he ain't quitting and he's answering the doctor, and once again, I hate how easy we tell doctors they don't, we don't believe what they're saying. The doctors are saying, and fucking the referee stops the fight. Come on, like, get out of here. They robbed them. But I can't be too mad because fucking Joe Joyce ain't saying shit. He's like, he's on the ropes, back after fight. He's like, yeah, it was a great fight. So fuck it. If he wants to accept it that easy, it is what it is. If that was my fighter, I would have been a little pissed off, man. Like, we work too hard for these moments to have them taken away because a referee feels like he should stop the fight because he's protecting the fighter. That's Joe Joyce has worked his whole life for that moment. It's a hurt game. It fucking sucks that in boxing you're like, yeah, you're really gonna get tested when your eye's fucking swollen or when you're fucking got a concussion or a broken rib or a cut eye. But that's this sport. That's when these guys are tested. They robbed them. Whatever. Bring it back. Do a rematch.
Say it correctly, Andrew. You're acting old. Run it back.
What's that?
Run it back.
Oh, run. Oh, I said bring it back. Yeah. Run it back.
You're actually showing your age at this moment. You got to run it back.
Bro. Yeah, bring it. See if they can show him some defense, but I highly doubt it. You guys, his name's the
no, they're not going to. Look, he's got the rainbow belts. I mean, isn't he? Miguel, am I wrong? Isn't he currently the Great Britain gay champion.
Oh,
Uh,
the Commonwealth.
Whatever that gay
I don't
belt
know.
is. Yeah.
I'm, well, I
The
mean,
ugliest belt in the business.
probably I don't keep track of the UK belts, but let's not forget that he's fucking 37. I believe they said, right. I think it was 37. So
Yeah.
he's not exactly a young spring chicken to be able to heal as quickly as the young cats. And on top of that, like how many more. How many more of these ass whoopings can he take? A couple of fights ago, he's had some. There's been a couple of fights where he's been in some trouble, but this is the first one that actually like really took him out. So, approaching 40, he kind of is running out of time. He probably needs a rematch quick style and needs like a big payday. And he's only what 15, 16, 17 fights into his career, so he hasn't even hit 20 yet, and he's already 37. So he got a little bit of a late start there, but yeah, like they really do need to, like, if they're gonna go that route of like pursuing a rematch, they need to do it quick, like fast, because he's only getting, and I think, I mean, let's be honest,
That
I
eye is
think
going
it's
to
Zhang
take at least a month, at least a couple of months, minimum.
before he starts sparring. I don't know, but and Zhang himself, I think they said he's 39, so he's not exactly young either. So it's a great matchup. Guys are pretty evenly matched, at least age wise.
What is
but
it
yeah,
they say?
he's gonna have to.
39 today is really 21 or something.
Well, I mean,
Gennadi's what, 60, and he's fighting and saying he's 40. So they say today's
right.
Yeah. Let me
mean,
help you out. I actually know this for a fact based on my last birthday. You do wake up one day and you're just old. You just do. Like, until this last birthday, I still believe that I could do anything crazy. And I was looking at Creator Con and all those crazy boxing matches and really debating all that shit. And I'm like, nope, I'm old now. I'm like Gennady. You got to talk big before I show up to the event. I mean, it. Let's end this segment. If it's your first time and you're watching this video, please click down, click like, subscribe, go back and watch our main show. We're going to talk about the news. We'll talk about Michaela Mayer. We're certainly going to do a build up to Gervonta Davis. But if you didn't know this, we have an exclusive feed to the one, the only Top Rank Bob, who does do the promotion for Zhang Zhang Gang Gang. And joining us on the line, gentlemen, to end this segment, Top Rank Bob. Bob, are you there? Hello.
Welcome,
Bob.
Bob.
Bob, did you go to England to watch this? Fuck no, they don't allow pot yet. Okay, I feel you on that, Bob. I know how you feel on that topic. Vegas, New York, LA seem to be more inclined to you. How's it going for you, Bob? It's great. First of all, let me say thank you to Fartnet Radio for having me on yet again. Andrea, how's the sex change going up there in San Francisco? Manuel, you out there in Vegas? Good. And yes. you fucking asshole. You're calling me an asshole now. Yeah, I am. You're an asshole. All right, Bob, what did you want to say about this fight? I wrote a little song about the fight. You did? I'm actually terrified. Yeah, I thought about it last night. Just for you today. We're on a train to Macau. Aboard the Macau Express. We hit the stops along the way. We only stop for the best. Bob. Bob, are you trying to imply, as I lose my voice talking to you, that you're a Neil Peart fan? Who the fuck is Neil, whatever his name is? Well, Bob, your voice is killing me at this point. Bob, the lyrics you just did are from a song called Passage to Bangkok by Rush. Who the fuck is Rush? You mean the guy who died? Well, yeah, Bob. That's what I mean. You know how meta it is for me to talk to myself as Top Rank Bob and do this shit? Like, no one will ever appreciate how fucking hardcore it is to have a conversation with yourself and drop voices. I respect anyone who can do it, especially when it rips up your voice. All right, let's talk about this. I've got the Macau golden ticket. I am the Willy Wonka of Chinese fighters. Bob, there's only one Chinese heavyweight. What are you talking about? Listen, he's going to fight Tyson Fury in Macau for $250 billion. What? Quadrillion. What the hell is a quadrillion? Miguel, what the hell is a quadrillion? Or has he gone full Dr. Evil at this point?
Yeah, I can picture him putting the pinky to his mouth and just and being like, Macau, I'm gonna buy Macau with this
I'm buying Macau. Listen, Manuel, tell him about how great this is that I have the only Chinese heavyweight champion of the world. I think he's the Commonwealth and the Chinese heavyweight champion, if that were a thing.
Don't sleep on Zhang. Don't sleep on him.
Don't sleep on Zhang. Andrea, what do you think? Did I get the right one this time? This is not a single. This is a home run.
Definitely a home run if you play it right. I don't know if you want Tyson Fury in the very next fight, but doable. We really need to know what the rematch clause is on the Joe Joyce thing.
There's no rematch clause. This dickhead thought he'd win it outright and go fight Anthony Joshua. He probably is still going to fight Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua's a pussy. Let's be honest. Then he should have signed with Tyson Fury. He won't do it. I guarantee he's going to fight Joe Joyce next.
Yeah, no, it's a good fight then. If he has no rematch clause, then yeah, you go straight Tyson Fury. That's the biggest fight for him to make the money.
I love Macau. Do you know the hookers are so much better in Macau?
He has a draw too. So I don't remember really the draw. I would have to go back and watch that fight. But so he has two blemishes really on his come up to this point right now. We really don't like seeing that in young prospects. So you would definitely have to take the Tyson Fury fight if Joe Joyce's rematch is off the table.
Well, first of all, click, like, subscribe, Fartnet Radio. It really is hard on my voice to do this. Click, like, subscribe. We hope you enjoyed my fight where I became a multimillionaire. It's really killing me, guys. This voice is going to be the death of me. Listen, Manuel, Andrea, and your sex change. Goddamn gay people. Click, like, subscribe, and go to @Fartnet Radio on the interwebs and see their full show. I'll probably be on that show too, but I think Oscar's on, and I really hate Oscar.